Good evening, everyone. And thanks for coming tonight. It's a pleasure to see so many smiling faces at TruWest. And welcome to the TruWest Credit Union 2023 annual meeting. My name is Jennifer Kimmel, and I am your TruWest Credit Union Chief Marketing Officer. Before we begin tonight's meeting, we have some information for our online viewers. All online viewers are muted. However, anytime during the meeting, you can submit questions or comments through the chat box by hitting submit. At specific times during the meeting, when a vote is called, a voting box will appear on screen. Finally, we want to remind online viewers that although this meeting is occurring in real time, internet service providers, bandwidth, browser and local internet traffic may cause a delay in our broadcast. But don't worry, a recording of this meeting will be made available through our YouTube channel. The agenda for tonight's meeting can be found in your 2022 annual report. For our online viewers, you can download the agenda and the annual report at any time during the presentation by hitting the download links inside the yellow box on your screens. Now, I'd like to turn this meeting over to TruWest Credit Union's Board Chair, Mr. Rick O'Connor.
Good evening, everyone, online and in person. I will now call our meeting to order. I asked Susanna DeFranco, our board secretary, do we have a quorum? Thank you. I would like to welcome all of our members and employees to tonight's 2023 annual meeting. Before we begin, I'd first like to take a moment to recognize our TruWest board and committee members. I am Rick O'Connor, your board chair. Also with us tonight, we have Mike Moulton, board vice chair. Thank you, Mike. Scott Joes, board treasurer. Susanna DeFranco, board secretary. And our remaining directors, Tom Kumiski, Dave Holliday, Jeff Homer, Jeff, Tim Neese, and Mike Vasco. Mike. Our supervisory committee members are Steve Benton, Brian Pickett, who is online with us tonight, and Rebecca Plantz. Our advisory committee members are Caitlin Davidson and Stephanie Williams. Your TruWest senior leadership team consists of Alan Althaus, President and Chief Executive Officer, Gary Bernard, Executive Vice President and Chief Operations Officer, Chris Carney, Executive Vice President and Chief Information Officer, Fareed Frabode, Senior Vice President and Chief Lending Officer, and Mike Ward, Senior Vice President and Chief Financial Officer, the money man. Elise Medina, Senior Vice President and Chief Legal Officer. And you met her a little earlier tonight, Jennifer Kimmel, Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer. And Nikki Badge, Senior Vice President and Chief Human Resources Officer. The first item for business this evening is to dispense with the reading of the 2022 annual meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to dispense the reading of the 2022 annual meeting minutes? Thank you. We have a first. Do we have a second? Thank you. A motion has been made and seconded to dispense the reading of the 2022 annual meeting minutes. We'll now call for a vote. For those who are voting online, you will have 30 seconds to place your vote. Please vote yes or no to dispense with the reading of the 2022 annual meeting minutes. As our virtual audience votes, for those members in attendance here tonight, If you are in favor of the motion to dispense with the reading, you can verbally say aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The majority of the attendees have responded in-house. We will now pause for a moment to tally our online votes. The motion has been approved. Thank you. We will now proceed with the reports from officials. And I guess that starts with me. So hello and good evening again, TruWest members, employees, and guests. My name is Rick O'Connor, and I'm the current chair of your TruWest Board of Directors. I have been a volunteer serving you, the member owner of this cooperative, for many years, beginning in the 1990s, actually, on the supervisory committee, and then joining the board soon after. You have graciously elected me and then retained me over these many years, and I appreciate your ongoing support. Tonight, you will hear reports from others of our financials and credit union's accomplishments over the past year. Therefore, I will speak about the future of TruWest, your TruWest Credit Union Cooperative. From our beginnings as Motorola Employees Credit Union West to present-day TruWest Credit Union, our mission has been to serve our member owners as the premier financial cooperative. We continually add services for your benefit and adapt to changes in the financial services arena while maintaining that core role of safeness and soundness. So, what's next for TruWest Credit Union? What's on that horizon, or just over the horizon? Or a future not yet imagined? That is the challenge and task of your board and volunteer credit union members, to ensure that your TruWest Credit Union is ready for the next big thing, the next iteration of banking. The board and committees are a diverse group of professionals with diverse backgrounds, well-read, engaged in ongoing learning to stay on top of this ever-changing financial services world. We have a great bench ready to take on those larger roles to continue to represent the interests of you, the TruWest member. At the core of your credit union has been Motorola and its history of technology advances while rewarding the people that made it happen. That high-tech but people-focused organization is what I think is the TruWest Credit Union. High tech along with high touch. To be there for you, the members, in the way you want financial services delivered. In person, online, or mobile, or combinations of their choosing. It is with your ongoing promotion of TruWest as your primary financial partner, your source for loans, your source for deposits, that allows your credit union to grow and to be able to offer products and services to meet your needs today, tomorrow, and what you will be needing for the future. Please continue to tell others of your credit union, how it serves you, and encourage those not yet participating to join you in this special cooperative called TruWest. I thank you again for your support of TruWest Credit Union. Now I'd like to turn the meeting over to our board treasurer, Scott Joes, for his treasurer's report. Scott?
Thank you, Rick. As you said, my name is Scott Joes, and it is my pleasure to speak to you today as your TruWest treasurer. As you may know, TruWest Credit Union is a not-for-profit financial cooperative, which means we are owned and operated by you, our members. Our mission is to provide you with trusted financial solutions and services so you can achieve your financial goals. I'm happy to report that our credit union is in strong financial health. Our income and assets have remained solid. I'm proud to say that we have maintained our strong financial position while some in the regional banking segment have faced significant distress over the past few months. Our focus remains on providing you with the highest level of service, competitive rates, and innovative financial products. As your treasurer, I take our financial responsibility seriously. We have a responsibility to ensure that your deposits are safe and secure, and we are able to provide you with the best possible returns on your investments. We take a conservative approach to managing our assets and are always looking for ways to maximize our returns while minimizing our risks. We always have one of the lowest delinquency rates amongst our peers. And I know whenever I miss a payment, our CLO, Fred, gives me a call personally. And I always open my statement and I just say, what do you mean? It says my balance is outstanding. So I don't know what he's talking about when he calls. It was an outstanding year for TruWest. Here are some of the specifics. Total assets ended the year at $1.51 billion. Loans outstanding increased 23% to $1.16 billion. Our loan to savings ratio is at 84.1%, and our net worth increased 8% to $160 million. Our net worth ratio ended the year at 10.54%, and earnings for the year were $11.8 million. Membership ended the year at 90,309 members. TruWest also continues to invest in innovative products, technology, and services to enhance your evolving needs. New items rolled out in the last year include Savvy Money, so you can monitor your credit score, educate yourself, and model different ways to improve it. Video banking, connecting you directly to our branch employees, and expanded mobile app functionality so you can do more at your fingertips. Finally, I want to thank you, our members, for your continued support of TruWest Credit Union. We are here to serve you, and we take that responsibility seriously. And with that, I'd now like to turn the meeting over to Steve Benton, our Supervisory Committee Chair, for the Supervisory Committee report. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Good evening to all our attendees. The Supervisory Committee has an important role of oversight for the credit union. We ensure that internal controls, policies, and procedures are created and properly established to protect members' assets. The committee consists of a minimum of 3 members who apply to the position and are appointed by the Board of Directors. Currently, our committee members are Brian Pickett, Rebecca Plants, and myself, Steve Benton. In performing our duties, we review the activities of the internal audit function, select the external auditing firm, and make sure that regulatory and internal audits are performed regularly. In support of these audits, TruWest engages with our external audit firm, Clifton Larson Allen, and various other regulatory agencies, including the National Credit Union Administration, the Arizona Department of Financial Institutions, and the Texas Credit Union Department. As a result of the independent audits and duties performed by the committee, we are pleased to report the financial condition of the credit union is accurately represented and a solid internal control environment exists to protect our members' assets. On behalf of the Supervisory Committee, we are dedicated and honored to serve our members, and we thank you for making TruWest your trusted financial institution. I'd now like to turn the meeting over to Alan Althouse, President and CEO of TruWest Credit Union.
Thank you, Steve. Today, I'll be reporting on the state of your credit union, both as we ended 2022 and as of today, in light of the recent bank failures like Silicon Valley Bank. 2022 was a year in which the credit union pivoted from achieving financial success in a historic low interest rate environment to achieving even greater success in a world of rising rates. Rising interest rates allowed us to provide better rates for our members, including market-leading rates on certificates of deposit, 4% for all CD terms ranging from 6 months to 5 years. When rates were at historic lows, the credit union sold most fixed-rate loans that originated into the secondary markets, providing market-leading low mortgage rates to members without exposing the credit union to the risks of holding those mortgages on its balance sheet when rates inevitably rose. During this time, we accumulated a large amount of cash to put into loans when rates rose, as they did in 2022. As a result, we grew loans to members in 2022 by over $216 million. This strong loan growth created strong revenue growth, with revenue rising 35% by December when compared to the same month last year. This revenue growth continues to accelerate into 2023. Strong revenue growth meant strong earnings, with the credit union achieving net income of over $11.8 million in 2022. This despite an over 33% growth in dividends paid. TruWest increased its already strong capital ratio from 9.73% at the end of 2021 to 10.54% at the end of 22, easily surpassing the 7% level our regulatory authority requires us to achieve the highest well-capitalized designation. As an indication of our financial strength, TruWest once again received a 5-star rating from Bauer Financial, their highest rating of financial strength. Our ability to provide members with exceptional service and value is the cornerstone of our financial stability. In our 2022 branch service surveys, members rated our service 6.79 on a scale of 1 to 7. Similarly, our mobile app earned an Apple App Store rating of 4.8 on a 5-point scale. We survey our members every year through the Net Promoter Score, or NPS, process. And in 2022, members gave TruWest another high vote of confidence with an NPS score of 66%, even higher than last year's 62%. This places us above such well-regarded brands as Apple and Amazon. In case you're wondering, Chase Bank's NPS score was 4%, and Bank of America's negative 24%. Despite our elite results, we continue to strive for ever higher levels of member service. For example, in 2022, we launched Savvy Money, a free online tool that provides members real-time credit scores. Savvy Money also includes a host of useful tools to help you manage your credit, personalized advice to help you improve your credit score, alerts whenever your credit is accessed, and the ability to dispute card charges all in one place. It was now 70 years ago that Rufus Coulter and 7 of his fellow Motorolans pooled their funds to form this credit union. These founding members had a vision of people sharing their resources so that by coming together, people could get a fair shake. People helping people, we call it, the credit union philosophy. Now, 70 years later, we're a $1.5 billion credit union and over 90,000 members strong. But the most important thing isn't our size, but that we never lost sight of that founding vision of people helping people. Today, we call it the true difference: great rates, great service, and a culture of caring. We know we deliver each of these because we measure them and hold ourselves accountable to that standard set so many years ago. We constantly monitor the market, making sure our rates and low fees are amongst the best deals available from our members. And we hire skilled professionals, provide them great training, and treat them with the respect they deserve so that they stay and make careers here. Our member surveys show that our staff delivers outstanding member service each and every day. Our culture of caring for our members, our employees, and our community, that's the foundation of the true difference. We make a difference in the lives of our members and in our community through contributions and volunteer time at Phoenix Children's Hospital, Dell's Children's Medical Center, Mesa Community College, the American Lung Association, and so many more great organizations. Our employees celebrated our 70th anniversary with a challenge to themselves of delivering 700 hours of community service in 70 days and beat that goal with over 880 hours of volunteer time delivered to nearly 50 community organizations. Please enjoy this 70-second video celebrating our 70th anniversary project. We are grateful to our members who made this exciting 70-year journey possible. These achievements simply could not have happened without the support of our members. Consider this. If 9 members can become 90,000 members in 70 years, just imagine what this credit union can become 70 years from now. Next, I'd like to give you my take on the recent bank failures like Silicon Valley Bank and walk you through the safeguards that TruWest has in place to make sure that nothing like that could happen here. Each of these banks, until recently, fully met their regulators' capital requirements, were profitable, and had grown quickly. So what went wrong? I'm reminded of that great Frank Capra movie, It's a Wonderful Life, as the Jimmy Stewart character, George Bailey, explained so well in that great movie. No bank or credit union has 100% of its deposits on hand in cash to repay its depositors. As George Bailey said, "Bill, we don't have your deposits. They're in Sam's home, in his mortgage." For example, TruWest has loaned out 85% of its deposits to its members. But today, well-run banks and credit unions have a number of safeguards to prevent any risk of a bank run. These would have prevented one of these failed banks. That is, if they hadn't recklessly circumvented these safeguards. Most importantly, we have deposit insurance, FDIC, or in our case, NCUA, insurance backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government. That takes away any risk for those depositors with less than $250,000 on deposit, or for many larger member accounts if those accounts are structured to meet the insurance requirements. If the FDIC or NCUA needs to step in, these insured depositors don't notice a thing. Their debit cards continue working without interruption. Their ATM access continues. Literally, nothing changes in their access to their funds. It's as if their money was always safely tucked away in the vault and not lent out. But this deposit insurance wasn't available to these banks that failed recently because their deposits were almost entirely uninsured, high dollar deposits. At Silicon Valley Bank, for example, 95% of their deposits were uninsured. You heard that right, 95%. In the credit union industry as a whole, only 9% of deposits are uninsured. TruWest is a bit below that average at less than 9%. A second safeguard available today is borrowing using loans or investments as collateral. After the Great Depression, the U.S. government created the Federal Home Loan Bank Board system. The FHLB, as we call it, is an agency of the federal government. If FHLB banks existed in the time of It's a Wonderful Life, George Bailey, instead of telling Bill that his deposits were in Sam's home mortgage, could simply call up the FHLB bank and borrow, using that mortgage as collateral. But this source of cash wasn't available at these failed banks. They'd already borrowed, growing their banks at a reckless pace. TruWest, on the other hand, has not borrowed and has over $450 million of untapped borrowing capacity in place with the FHLB. This, plus our over $70 million of overnight deposits with the Federal Reserve, means we could fund an outflow of all of our uninsured deposits 4 times over. And as yet a further liquidity backstop, more than a decade ago, TruWest invested in the NCUA Central Liquidity Facility. This gives us an emergency credit line to funds direct from the U.S. government if all these other sources are exhausted. I'm proud that we've always acted to keep our credit union unquestionably safe and sound, something that's fundamental to serving our members. So in conclusion, I can report today with confidence that as we pass our 70-year mark, your credit union is strong, with strong and rising profitability, strong capital, and strong deposit safety. This 70-year journey leading us to where we are today could not have happened without the support of our members. I am deeply grateful for our members' participation. Thank you for being one of those members. Now I'd like to turn the meeting over to Mr. Jeff Homer, Director and Nominating Committee Chair, to go over our 2023 board election results.
Thank you, Alan. Appreciate that very much. As noted, my name is Jeff Homer, and I serve as chairman of the nominating committee this year. This year, we've had 3 of our board members up for re-election, including Scott Joes, David Holliday, and Tim Neese. I'm pleased to report that all 3 of these individuals have been re-elected to another 3-year term. I want to offer my congratulations to them and also thank all of you who participated in our election this year, which occurred in January. I'd like to encourage you all to do the same thing next year, to participate and vote whenever we have an election. And with that, we'll turn the time back over to Rick.
That completes the reports from officials. Do I have a motion to approve the reports from officials in their entirety? Thank you. And we have a second. A motion has been made and seconded to approve the reports from officials in their entirety. We'll now call for a vote. For those of you online, a voting box will appear on your screen. You'll have 30 seconds to place your vote. Please vote yes or no to approve the reports from officials in their entirety. As our virtual audience votes, for those members here in person, if you're in favor of the motion to accept the reports as stated, can you verbally say aye? Aye. Any opposed? The majority of the attendees have responded. We will now pause a moment to tally our online results. We have a thumbs up. The motion has been approved. Thank you very much. We would now like to open up the meeting to questions. We have a microphone that will be passed to those in person who may have questions. For those viewing online, please type your questions into the chat box and we will address as many questions as we can this evening. Alan, will you please join me on stage? So, we have a question on the floor. We'll bring a microphone to you, sir. Thank you.
I was kind of concerned if TruWest Credit Union has ever experienced a cyber attack in which members' data had been stolen.
Good question.
That is a great question. The answer is no, but before I want to bring on our Chief Information Officer, Chris Carney,
Chris, please.
who can give you an expert response.
Thank you, Alan. Great question. And we appreciate you exercising your due diligence as a member and inquiring. We have not had a public data breach of our members' information. All of your accounts and financial information is safely secured privately here at the credit union.
Yeah, I will just add that we take data security extraordinarily seriously and have grown the team who work full-time on this to 3 full-time individuals now and experts in their field.
And that topic is brought up and discussed at every monthly board meeting. The Chief Information Officer provides reports and statistics of testing to continually monitor that situation, and also with all the credit unions and our regulators. Thank you. Yes.
I have a couple, I have
okay.
a couple of questions. One is we've taken out many home loans through credit union, and most of the time in the past you had held our paper, and the last loan we took out was one of the bundle you're talking about selling off in the low interest rate environment. So I'd like to know, it's a 2-part question. How many loans are you retaining now in-house? And when you raised all that cash, it said 70 million or something was in the Federal Reserve.
Yes.
How is that invested and where's the rest of the cash?
Good question. Alan, give a start.
The money in the Federal Reserve pays a great rate right now, 4.75%. And if the 4.75%, and if the Fed raises at their next meeting, pardon me. Oh, overnight.
Overnight.
So we can actually access those funds anytime throughout the day. Yeah. And as to your question around mortgages, you were asking how many do we hold versus selling? Yeah, we generally will retain a variable rate mortgage. And so we have a lot of mortgages that move up when interest rates move up for the credit union. But we want to give the member what they want. So we want to be able to provide the lowest fixed rates in town and the best variable rates. And so we sell typically to Fannie Mae the fixed rate mortgages that we do. I will say when we do that, by the way, the Fannie Mae is an agency of the federal government. Sounds like you're aware of all of that goes on there. We retain the servicing, so we continue as the contact point for the members, where their payment is made, and we're the ones they call if there's any questions. So we retain that responsibility and member relationship.
And if I can add too, from the chair's perspective, we try to manage what mortgages we hold in our portfolio based on risk absorption. So if in an environment of rising interest rates, if we lock in too many long-term rates, then that's going to subject us to interest rate risk. So we're constantly balancing. We would like to retain all mortgages because that then is what our members ideally would do. But holding on to the servicing becomes very important because, again, that gives you the ability to work with your credit union if any questions come up. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. We do have an online question. It says, do you see CD rates going up higher, staying at 4%, or going down? And when do you foresee a change?
CDs.
You know, I wish I had an interest rate crystal ball. What's that? You know, if I did, I'd be in the Bahamas drinking Mai Tais with my feet up. I do know that our 4% will continue through the end of this month, and I'd be shocked if we did anything to lower it next month. But we're always looking at having market leading rates. So we're always looking at what's out there in terms of the competition. We'll typically look at the 15 largest financial institutions in Phoenix by market share. And in Austin, the 10 largest by market share, and make sure that for virtually all products, virtually all the time, we're, if not at the top, near the top. Did that kind of hem and haw not really answer the question well enough?
I'm sure they'll let us know online.
There you go.
Thank you.
If I can, one of the risks of having an well over the market CD rate is we could get too much cash come in and not be able to utilize and invest that out. So it is a delicate balance. We always, because of the true difference philosophy, we try to be at the top of that market though. And I know one of our board members always reminds us of the good old days. He says, where is my 11 and 12% CD rates? And we say, well, maybe 18 is what you remember. Okay. Thanks. Any other questions in the house? Yes. We'll bring you a microphone here.
I know Alan and Scott have both danced around this, but both the total credit union companies out there in this area or in wherever, and TruWest in particular, how much of a run, if any, have you seen due to the bank problems at the?
That's a great question.
Good question.
So the question again was how much of a run, and by that I would imagine.
Yeah, how many, how much have you seen people coming in and saying, I don't feel safe with this, I want my money? I mean, that type of a thing.
I'm not aware, and I could bring Gary Bernard up. I'm not aware of any member who's left their funds because of that, who stated that they were taking their deposits. I will say that our deposit growth is strong relative to banks, but lower than it's been in past years. So, for example, in the first quarter, our deposits grew 2%, a little over 8.5% annualized for the first quarter. March, we grew about 8 million. Those are all good numbers, but they're all down a bit from last year and our historic norms. Just nationwide, consumers, they're spending money they saved up during the pandemic. Also, inflation is been an issue just nationwide because wages haven't kept pace with inflation. So we continue to have deposit growth. I will say B of A reported earnings today, and they lost deposits in the first quarter, 1%. And I think they did well compared to banks. I know Wells Fargo had some bigger decline in deposits. We're up year over year to take a long view. B of A is down 8.5%. They in their earnings announcement today, year over year. So we're doing relatively good, but we're not having the growth that we had in prior years. You know, I think during times of stress, people appreciate a safe harbor more than ever. And our strong liquidity, I think, is a competitive advantage for us right now, just our general safe and sound position because of our conservative practices. We generally have done well as a credit union when on a comparative basis when others are challenged. Great Recession is another great example of that. Does that answer your question?
And you'll have to work on your dance steps, obviously. Thank you. And thank you for letting me have a little humor on that. I appreciate it very much.
Another online question. What changes as a TruWest customer does it mean to us if you go all digital? Examples include checking, savings account, and debit cards. What do we need to do?
Who wants to handle that?
If we go all digital, I'm gonna bring Gary Bernard, our Chief Operations Officer, up.
Give him a chance.
I will say, and because he leads the digital banking team, who do great work, and I feel really good about the digital services we provide. But I was a little perplexed by the question. I don't see us going all digital in even the distant future. I was going to say the foreseeable future, because I have to tell you, when you look at what we do well based on member surveys, Gary's branch operations team just hit it out of the park in terms of service quality. So I don't see us ever going purely digital, but I will say that his digital banking team likewise does amazing, amazing work. So with that.
Good evening. What Alan said. No, actually, it is a very good question. We have many channels. We have obviously the traditional branch channel. We have the online banking channel. We have the mobile channel. We have the ATM channel. We have so many channels in which now members can go ahead and transact with. We feel that members voting with their feet is probably the best way to go. There's no need to shut down all these branches or these ATMs and go 100% digital. This right now is coming down to members that use the channel that best suits their needs throughout the day. And so we have a great team, as Alan had said, a team of individuals that are more than happy to go ahead and help anybody transition to digital when they come into the branches. We are closed on, some of our branches are closed on Saturdays, and we thought, oh boy, what's going to happen here? We've got many branches that are open, but some that are closed. And members have found, you know, this digital thing is really starting to be pretty convenient for me on Saturdays and Sundays. And so it's been a nice transition. But as Alan said, this isn't something that we're just going to flip a switch one day and go all digital. So rest assured, you will have the channel of your choosing.
Yeah, I was also wondering if that question was somewhat directed to this conversation that's showing up in the media around like all the financial system going digital, not just TruWest going digital, but the, all financial going to digital cash.
Good. And that's a good follow-up is also. It's interesting. There is a lot of online banks that you've seen. You've probably seen a lot of online banks that are out there, and you can only interact with them digitally. There's a lot of those banks, and there's a lot of write-ups on this that aren't around very long. People still want to go ahead and have a place around the corner that they may want to go ahead and at least check in on, make sure their funds are good. And so that's a different strategy that has different pricing with it as well. And so it isn't a channel that we plan on going to. And again, I think rest assured that we'll have the channel that you really kind of work out for your best interest.
Thank you, Gary.
So-
I'm going to take the last question of the night from the online platform. Will TruWest leadership and board be reviewing and consider increasing the bonus dividend on high yield checking accounts?
Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
Pass the good news.
Where did that question? That's the ultimate softball question because I can announce today that we are raising our bonus dividend checking account rate from 3% to 4%. So
That's it. All right. We'd like to thank you all for your questions, both in-house and online. If we were,
actually one more question.
oh, there's one. Okay. Can we fit it in real quick? Always aim to please.
So this question is around the balance sheet. So it looks like between 21 and 22, the loans to members increased significantly, but the allowance for loan loss actually decreased. So the percentage reserved for defaults, I assume, was for some reason, it was decided to decrease that percentage. In this economic environment, are you, but what drove that decision to decrease the allowance for default?
We can
And in
answer
this
that.
economic environment,
Yes.
do you really
Yes.
expect that that will hold?
If I'd like to start and then we'll pass it on. It is formula based by our regulators of what we have for our allowance for loan loss. And it's primarily driven by our write-offs, our bad loans. Yes, history. Your TruWest Credit Union members pay their bills. And we've had continue to have historically low loan losses. And thus, the regulators tell us that we then need to reserve less for those loan losses. Now, part of the formula, though, is also to look forward into different economic times. And there's also formulas and something called CECL that was recently brought into the fold, where we look for potential credit losses for the life of the loan. And we have made some substantial deposits into our allowance for loan loss at the beginning of this year to reflect those future environments. So there is a committee on the board called ALCO, and we go over that with a fine-tooth comb with our chief financial officer to be sure that those loan loss allowances are appropriate. So it's a balancing act, but regulator says that we have the appropriate loan loss set aside. Okay? Yes, please.
All right, so you're comparing one year to the next. In 2020, when unemployment hit 17%, we put a ton into our loan loss reserves. In the remainder of 2020, the second half of that pandemic year, and in 2021, what do you think happened to our actual charge-offs? They were the lowest in the history of the credit union. So we had this mountain of provision without any charge-offs in relation to them, or very low charge-offs. So we were, as Rick said, required to reduce our loan loss reserves. We've increased them in the first quarter of this year as the economic outlook gets a little more uncertain. And by the way, even though we've increased them in the first quarter of this year, our net earnings are up 70% from the same quarter last year. Any follow-up questions?
Thank you. Okay. So we're gonna bring it to conclusion. We'd like to thank you for your questions. If we were unable to get to your question this evening, either question from the floor or online, we will, and you did make a chat box, the team will get back to you Also, if your question was specific to your situation and therefore confidential, it would also be addressed specifically with you. Before we adjourn, we would like to all of our attendees this evening, whether here in the room or those online, to know that you'll all be receiving a gift from TruWest, a universal door prize. So with that excellent news, do I have a motion to adjourn the 2023 annual meeting? We have a move. Do we have a second? We have a second. A motion has been made and seconded to adjourn this 2023 annual meeting. We'll now call for a vote. For those of you online, a voting box will appear on your screen. You'll have 30 seconds to place your vote. Please vote yes or no on the adjournment of this 2023 annual meeting. And as our virtual audience votes, for those members here in person, if you're in favor of the motion to adjourn, can you verbally say aye? Aye. Any want to stay and say nay? All right. We'll wait for the online vote tally to come in. And we have a thumbs up. The motion to adjourn has been approved. We'd all like to thank you for your attendance this evening, both in person and virtually, and for your continued membership. Have a great good night. Thank you.